नमस्कार मित्रांनो. I am Santosh here, and today I am going to deliver the lecture on water supply engineering, and which is very important subject in MPSC civil engineering 2 paper of mains examination, as well as it is very important subject for diploma as well as degree level student of civil engineering. So let us start my lecture, first lecture on water supply engineering. And before that, I am requesting you to subscribe my channel for getting more and more ideas about civil engineering, because civil engineering is nothing but the common sense, and common sense is not common. So let us start about water supply engineering. Before starting this lecture, I want to tell you one story about success story or inspirational story about water supply schemes. I am telling you this story in Marathi. मध्य प्रदेशात गोंड नावाची जमात आहे आणि त्या मध्य प्रदेशात पाण्याचा प्रॉब्लेम होता. अशा याच एकाच गावात एक 8वीत एक मुलगी शिकत होती आणि त्या गावात ओपन वेल किंवा विहीर असल्यामुळं तिला सकाळी आणि संध्याकाळी त्या विहिरीवरून घरासाठी पाणी आणावं लागायचं. आणि विहीर गावात एकच असल्यामुळं विहिरीवर प्रचंड गर्दी व्हायची. त्यामुळं तिला त्या पाणी आणण्यात सकाळचे 2 तास आणि संध्याकाळचे 2 तास वाया जायचे. आणि त्यामुळे तिला काही अभ्यास करता यायचा नाही आणि त्यामुळे ती अभ्यासात मागं पडली होती. त्यामुळे तिने शिक्षण सोडावं का काय असा विचार केला होता. परंतु त्या गावात तिथल्या इंजिनियर्सनी एक वॉटर सप्लाय स्कीम विकसित केली आणि ही वॉटर सप्लाय स्कीम नळाने पाणी देण्याची होती. आणि तिच्या घरापाशीही नळ आले आणि या नळामुळे तिला पाणी भरण्यास फक्त अर्धा तास लागू लागला आणि तिचा वेळ वाचल्यामुळं तिला अभ्यासाला वेळ देता आला. आणि अशीच मुलगी अभ्यासात स्वतःला लक्ष घालून किंवा अभ्यासात कॉन्सन्ट्रेट करून ती मुलगी पुढे वर्ग 1ची अधिकारी झाली. म्हणजेच मित्रांनो, मला या गोष्टीतनं सांगायचं आहे की एखादी इंजिनियरनी बनवलेली चांगली स्कीम एखाद्याचं भविष्य किंवा एखाद्याचं आयुष्यसुद्धा बदलू शकते. सो लेट अस स्टार्ट आवर लेक्चर रिगार्डिंग water supply engineering. This water supply engineering is the part of civil engineering, and it is very essential as compared to competitive examinations as well as curriculum of civil engineers. So first of all, we start what are the different sources of water. The following are the common sources of water. You know that first is very important, and nowadays the season of monsoon is in Maharashtra. So first source of water is rainwater, then second source of water is surface water, third source of water is groundwater, which is also a very important part, and fourth is the water obtained from the reclamation, means salination of seawater and from wastewater. So let us study one by one, or let us discuss one by one. Okay. First of all, we discuss the rainwater. Please look at this figure. The figure shows that water is storing into the small tank or a cistern from the roof of that dwelling or that house. So this one is the house, and the water is collected, rainwater is collected into the cistern, and pump is placed here to use that water efficiently whenever and where it is required. Second is from prepared catchments. The surface of the catchment is made impervious by suitable lining material as shown here, and suitable slope. The slope is given so that water is stored into the moderate reservoirs. This is the drain, and that water is collected into the reservoirs. This water is used for communal supplies and mostly used for drinking purposes. So this figure explains the rainwater is to be collected from the prepared catchments. Then second, we are going to discuss the surface water. What is the surface water? Surface water is one which is available as a runoff from a catchment area during a rainfall or precipitation. I already delivered the lecture on the hydrology, and you know what is the runoff and what is the precipitation. So you must know these terms for studying the water supply engineering. That's why I delivered lecture first on the hydrology, and then I am going to deliver the lectures on the water supply engineering. The runoff flows either into the stream or into the untrained lakes. The runoff water flowing into streams can be either stored into a reservoir by constructing a dam across that river, or it is diverted into the water supply channel or a canal. Thus, depending upon the scheme of collection, we get surface water from following sources. So you must know the surface water is nothing but the rainwater which is precipitated, and we are going to collect that precipitation from the surface. From rivers by continuous draft, water may be collected directly from the rivers without any diversion work. We can lift that water and we can collect that water. Such as in Solapur district, we are going to collect that water from the Bhima river for supplying the water to the Solapur city. But it requires the continuous draft. If there is a continuous draft, we can lift that water from the jack well and we can transfer that water to the purification plant, and that purified water we can supply to the city or local people. Second, from river diversion, we already studied irrigation engineering, and we people also know the diversion works. So we have to construct the weir. This is the weir, just like a dam, like a structure. We have to construct that weir. We have to construct the divide walls in that weir also. We have to construct the guide banks also, and we have to divert that water from the river to the canals, and such a work is called as a river diversion work, and which leads water to the site of water purification plant or water purification works. Then third, from reservoir storage, where supply is not ensured throughout the year, dam may be constructed across the river and the water is stored into the reservoir. So this is the common and usual procedure, because nowadays the supply of river is not perennial, so that we have to construct a dam across that river and store sufficient water to supply that water to the city. So this figure shows water from the reservoir storage. This is the clay core, or this is the dam like structure, earthen dam. We have to construct it across the river. We have to collect that water and we have to supply that water to the purification plant, or transfer that water to the purification plant to supply it to the people. Then from direct intake from the natural lakes, water may be also obtained through the direct intakes from the natural lakes which receive surface runoff from adjoining catchments. If there are lakes in the city nearby, and if there are natural streams in that lake, we have to collect that water from the lake also, and that lake get water from the nearby catchment. So it requires also continuous draft. Okay, continuous draft or storage is very important for the water supply. Groundwater, we studied this chapter in hydrology also. Groundwater is the third type of source of supply. This is the largest available source of fresh water lies underground. The term groundwater refers to this water which is stored by nature underground in the water bearing stratum or formation of the earth crust. the total groundwater potential is estimated to be 1/3 of the capacity of the ocean. It is very important. So tapping of groundwater is very important because it has the capacity of that of 1/3 of the ocean, but people don't know about that and they are not going to tap that groundwater. The main source of groundwater is nothing but the precipitation, because you know the cycle, hydrological cycle, evaporation, precipitation is continued forever, and there is a balance maintained in between these two, and such a cycle of evaporation and precipitation is termed as a hydrological cycle, and that hydrological cycle is very essential for every life. A portion of rain falling on the earth's surface infiltrates in the ground and travels down when checked by impervious layer to travel further down forms the groundwater. Means any impervious layer is there, that impervious layer allowed to form the storage of groundwater. The groundwater reservoir consisting of water held in the voids within a geological stratum also. The groundwater can be tapped from following sources. From the natural spring, we can tap that groundwater. From wells and boreholes, this is very important. The farmers are going to construct the wells and boreholes to tap that water and use for irrigation and drinking and other purposes. Okay. From infiltration galleries, basins or creeks. From wells and galleries with flows augmented from some other sources, sprayed on the surface of the gathering ground, carried into charging basins or ditches, or lead into diffusion galleries or wells. So from wells and galleries we have to collect that groundwater, or from riverside radial collector wells. This shows the radial collector wells which collect the water in radial directions, and such a well is called as a radial collector well, and which is most popular nowadays, and we can use the infiltration gallery also to collect that groundwater. Then we are going to discuss the last source of water, and that is nothing but the water obtained from the reclamation, and nowadays it has more importance. First is the desalination. Saline or brackish water may be rendered useful for drinking purposes by installing the desalination plants, and the common method used for desalinations are the distillation, reverse osmosis process, electrodialysis process, freezing and solar evaporation. So one must study all these methods for the desalination. Then reuse of the treated wastewater, that is most important nowadays, and effluents or wastewater can be treated suitably so that it may be reused. An example of controlled indirect reuse in the intentional artificial recharge of groundwater aquifers by adequately treated wastewater. So we can use the combination of that treated wastewater and groundwater obtained from the aquifers. So that is the first part of MPSC Civil Engineering about that sources of supply in water supply engineering. Now we are going to discuss in short water supply systems, or what do you mean by the water supply system and what is objective of that. The primary objective of water treatment for public supply is to take water from best available source as discussed above and to subject it to the processing which ensure the water of good physical, chemical quality, free from unpleasant taste or odor and containing nothing which might be detrimental to the health. The treatment of water to improve the quality includes addition to, subtraction from or chemical changes in the raw water. Municipal water supply system consist of following units. So you must know any water supply system in the city consisting of following works. First is the collection work, second is the transmission work, third is the purification works, and fourth is the distribution work. So you must know these 4 units for municipal water supply system. First, we have to collect the water. Second, we have to transmit the water. Third, we have to purify that water. And fourth, we have to distribute that water. So these 4 units are very important for any water supply system. First, collection work, or to collect the water. The collection work are meant for the development of surface water or groundwater resources. For major cities or where water requirement is too large, water is collected from the surface source, mainly from the river or a stream. If the river is perennial, a direct intake structure can be built into the river bed or in the river bank. If, however, the river is not perennial, in such a case, as discussed earlier, we are going to construct the dam so that sufficient water is to be stored in that reservoir. Water is then drawn from that reservoir or a river as per need. The collection work, therefore, consisting of storage and diversion work, and very important is the intake structure. So you must study intake structures. Then second is the transmission work. In many cases, the collection work may be far away from the city where the water is to be supplied. In that cases, water is conveyed to the city through the transmission work. This forms the connecting link between the collection work and purification work. So we have to collect the water and we have to purify the water. So there is one system in between that collection and purification, and that system is termed as a transmission work. Depending upon the topography of the area between the 2 sides, the transmission work may be in the form of conduits, may be in the form of canals, may be in the form of pipe or aqueducts. For simple gravity flow, canals are generally used. However, if there is a high land in between the 2 stations, the pumping may have to be restored to. So if there is a rising main, we have to use the pumping. If there is a gravity flow, we have to use the canals. So it is so simple, it is so common sense. Okay. Then third unit consisting of purification works. You people all know we have to purify the water before it is used for drinking and other purposes. The water is collected directly from the source is not safe for drinking because of physical, chemical and biological impurities. So the municipal water work must deliver to the consumer or a local people the water that is hygienically safe. It is very important. So it is free from waterborne diseases, aesthetically attractive and palatable, and economically satisfactory for the intended use. That is also important. Then diseases like typhoid, cholera, dysentery, etc. are the waterborne diseases, and the principal aim of purification work is to supply the clean and bacteria free water to the people. The common components of water purification work are the aeration plants, then filtration plants to remove objectionable color, turbidity, bacteria and other harmful organisms. Then we have to do the sedimentation also, and that sedimentation means deferrization and demagnetization plants to remove the excessive amounts of iron and manganese also it is required, and softening plants are also required to remove the excessive amount of scale forming soap consuming the ingredients like calcium and magnesium ions. But basically the water purification system of municipal city consists of aeration unit, it must consist of filtration unit, before that it must consist of sedimentation unit, and there must be some processes like chlorination and others. Okay. Then after purifying the water, the main aim is to distribute that water. The treated and purified water is finally sent to the consumers through suitable distribution system. In order that water may flow into water supply pipes under pressure, the purified water is normally stored into the elevated service reservoir. We commonly termed it as ESR, that is elevated service reservoir. More than one reservoir may be needed for the large cities or large systems. There are two patterns of water supply system. First is the branching pattern with dead ends, and second is the gridiron system. We are going to discuss that in detail in our further lectures, but this is the beginner's lecture. So I am going to explain these two methods. One is the branching patterns with the dead ends, and second is the gridiron system. The plan, topography and location of the area with respect to the service reservoir establish the type of distribution system and its character of flow. So depending upon the topography of the city, we can decide these types of patterns for water distribution system. So thank you very much for listening my this lecture very calmly. After very long days, I am going to deliver the lecture on the civil engineering subject, and I am very thankful to you people for subscribing me and listening my lecture. So if you have not subscribed my channel, I am going to request you to subscribe my channel and also watch my lectures till the end to get more and more idea cleared about civil engineering. So thank you. Bye.